Hi everyone. So yes, today I am back in my original space. I have returned from Washington, D.C. and I am back in Dallas, Texas. My time in D.C. was absolutely so much fun, but let's get straight to business because I was going to create a video today on anti-Semitism, and then last night on Tuesday, September 30th, Pope Leo came out with an answer to a question from a reporter about Senator Durbin receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award by Cardinal Cupich. So that's what this video is going to be about, is going to be just the crazy reactions to that particular video and his response. So let's get to it. Hi, my name is Victoria Holmes. I am a podcast producer and I also work for a political media company. And these videos on Catholicism are sort of a side hobby of mine. Okay, first let's play the video.
With Cardinal Cupich giving an award to Senator Durbin. Some people of faith are having a hard time with understanding this because he is he's for legalized abortion. How would you help people of faith right now decipher that, feel about that, and how do you feel about that?
The first thing I notice is that a lot of people are saying that this question was not properly being asked, in the sense that it might have been a confusing question, but in my opinion it seems like a pretty straight up question.
I'm not terribly familiar with the particular case. I think that it's very important to look at the overall work that a senator has done during, if I'm not mistaken, 40 years of service in the United States Senate. I understand the difficulty and the tensions, but I think as I myself have spoken in the past, it's important to look at many issues that are related to what is the teaching of the church.
So when he talks about many issues related to the teaching of the church, I don't think he's actually going to defend Senator Durbin and the choice of Cardinal Cupich to award Senator Durbin with this Lifetime Achievement Award. I think instead he's just saying that there are politicians who have actions throughout their career, and we need to look at the whole of those actions rather than just like picking one topic. For example, President Donald Trump. A lot of pro-lifers are very excited about this president, except that he sees IVF policies as something he wants to champion under his administration. And then you have his Catholic press secretary going out there saying that we are the most pro-family administration, but yet IVF is something that's contradictory to Catholic teaching. So I do kind of want to point out that this is something I do agree with Pope Francis on when it comes to, let's not just pick and choose politicians based on one issue, and instead look at the entirety of what they're doing, because sometimes when you're so focused on one issue and you think that they're championing your cause as Catholics, they could actually be undermining the very thing that you're trying to uphold, which is this pro-life teaching.
Someone who says I'm against abortion but says I'm in favor of the death penalty is not really pro-life.
So this comment about the death penalty is really frustrating a lot of people who are more traditional, because it's saying that it's going against the teachings of St. Thomas Aquinas. Although St. Thomas Aquinas did teach that it was okay to enact the death penalty in order for the common good to flourish, at this point in our society, we do have means, especially in America, where the common good means not necessarily killing someone and allowing that person to rehabilitate. Also, maybe it's good that we don't have the death penalty, the way that people are just going so quick to judgment and going so quick to calling for actions against the Pope.
So someone who says that I'm against abortion, but I'm in agreement with the inhuman treatment of immigrants who are in the United States, I don't know if that's pro-life. So they're very complex issues. I don't know if anyone has all the truth on them, but I would ask first and foremost that there be greater respect for one another and that we search together, both as human beings, in that case as American citizens or citizens of the state of Illinois, as well as Catholics, to say we need to really look closely at all of these ethical issues and to find the way forward as church. Church teaching on each one of those issues is very clear. Thank you very much.
I agree with Pope Leo that we need to look at the entirety of someone's political platform and agenda and then come to an assessment about whether or not they are actually being Catholic and pushing Catholic values. I am not defending Senator Dick Durbin. I am not defending Cardinal Cupich's award to Dick Durbin. I think that was something that could have best done without, and he ended up not even accepting the award. So I think that was kind of a political mess. Yes, it was not the best answer to a question, but I think the absolute craziness over the people reacting to this is something that has kind of given me pause, because you hear a lot in these traditional spaces how you need to submit to your husbands as wives. As me, as a woman still discerning my vocation, whether that's being called to marriage, I'm being told when you marry your husband, you're going to need to have to submit to his authority. Okay, but in the same traditional circles, when you're looking at some of these men who tell me how I should submit to my future husband, whoever that may be, they're not submitting to the authority of the church. So it seems as if submitting to authority is only advice when it's convenient to them. Now, I do want to respond to some of the tweets that I've seen in response to this. First, so tired of papal interviews. He should return to his previous silence. Okay, so this is frustrating for me because it's sort of dismissive of his authority as a pope and where we live in the 21st century to think that someone on Twitter can advise the Vicar of Christ, the leader of the Catholic Church, on what he should and should be doing is really irritating. Pope Francis's change to the catechism on the death penalty will be looked at in hindsight as ground zero for a major crisis of credibility for the Church, the likes of which not have been seen since the conciliarism controversy of the Council of Constance. I get really frustrated because there are literally people across the world being murdered for their Christian faith, and then you have Theo Bros online talking about certain theological arguments, thinking that they know better than everyone else, and in reality they're just keyboard warriors. If that energy could be put towards something else, like praying a rosary outside an abortion clinic, then I think it would be much better for a Catholic Church and doing much more good for the Church than just being a keyboard warrior. Papal interviews need to be anathematized. They are way too open to causing scandal, and the Pope shouldn't be spouting off comments on the 24-hour news cycle. We need popes that think in decades and centuries, not a Twitter influencer in white robes. First of all, if this video really scandalizes you as a Catholic, then maybe you should pray more and actually do more for your faith, because I feel like if someone who is really centered in their faith, they wouldn't be scandalized by this answer. Defensor Patches just read from Amazon, Times to read a book that puts the Pope in his place. I think he meant time to read a book. The idea that you can put the Pope in their place, even if you do not agree with the Pope on what they're saying, is something that, again, to me is so mind-boggling, because I am constantly told as a woman that I need to submit to authority when it comes to whoever my future husband will be. This comment is also very irritating for me because we have stories of saints in the past who have had to submit to authority when that authority figure has been wronged, and part of what makes their lives saintly is the fact that they have submitted to their authority because it's still the authority figure in their life. I stopped caring a long time ago if people considered me, quote, pro-life because of my views on issues other than abortion. Call me what you want, all I know is that the greatest evil today is the murder of millions of innocent babies in the womb, and I'm absolutely opposed to that. So this Eric Sammons guy, he is a Catholic publisher, and I frequently see him on my Twitter feed, and one of the things that frustrates me is that he's telling me to call him what he wants, but he has limited the accounts that can reply to him. So there have been times in the past where I've wanted to reply to him on certain things, but I can't because I'm not given permission to reply to him. This frustrates me because he's using his freedom of expression to criticize the Pope and maybe anyone else that he comes across, but then I'm not allowed to criticize him because he has limited the people who can talk to him on Twitter, which again is fine. Like, Twitter can be very toxic, and I understand that you don't want everyone replying to you. I get that. But I think that if you're going to be having this open debate and you want to use your creative freedoms, such as freedom of expression, then maybe you shouldn't limit who can and can't talk to you, especially when you're making such a public point. If you're scandalized by this, then I really encourage you to look inward and to see maybe where your faith is being shaken. I didn't even get to all my thoughts because he did make a comment on immigration that a lot of people are talking about that I might think I might produce for another video, but we'll see. All right. I hope everyone has a great day. As you can see, there are some fresh roses next to my bedside. My parents gave me those as part of my birthday present. I am now 28 years old, and hopefully 28 will bring so many more blessings and adventures. Thank you.